Hello everyone. It's me, Candy. Um Candy Grand Prix. Today is Sunday, October 11th, 2020. I was awakened to that stupid freaking alarm. Um if we had just microwave and a refrigerator, why and how would the alarm go off? I mean, we have a mini refrigerator and a microwave. Um so this early in the morning. Well, not that early anymore. It's 8:08 a.m. right now. Excuse me, but it was 8:07 when I press play. So I'm still feeling like very down and depressed, and feeling fear of the future, and just trying to process my feelings. Feeling too emotionally fragile to want to talk to anybody, and it's like I'm like very emotionally fragile and sensitive right now, and mentally. Um, that doesn't mean I'm crazy or need to be locked up. It's like people want to force you against your will to worship mental health. And that's not health. It's all about control and abuse. you know, um, so that had to been in my doggone building. Fake crusty idiot ass hotel neighbors acting like they didn't want to. I don't even know if it was them being clumsy or that was part of the noise harassment. But not all that long before, I had a high pitched noise in my right ear for a few seconds. A few months ago, when I was at this hotel, they were doing a high pitched ring. Well, the high pitched noise, the high pitched sound in my right ear, or sometimes the left, off and on every night when I was here. And last night, they tortured me with the vibrating. Um, and so, I don't know. I mean, I tried to go take a walk yesterday, and they had this man. He's supposedly like Americanized Haitian, is what he told me. Well, he didn't use the word Americanized Haitian, but he said he talks American, like he's been born and raised here. That's how he talks, but said he's from Haiti. And I saw him a couple of days ago, and he was like extra nice and whatever. Oh, I don't remember if it was a couple of days ago on my first day here. Well, this time around. And so it looks like as if some people must do stay here long term. Um, but it's like yesterday, y'all know me and my OCD. Even if I didn't have OCD, it's like men don't care. They'll touch anything dirty and it's nothing to them. But females are more like, ugh. But supposedly, I've heard that females usually are more likely to wash their hands after using the bathroom than a man. The men don't care, you know. But if a man washes his hands after using the bathroom, they call him effeminate or gay or whatever. But you know, he um tried to throw something in the garbage can. I mean, in the big dumpster yesterday, and then um and then well he's like, oh, what are the chances of that? Because it got on one part of the dumpster on top and then not inside, and so then he went and he climbed and leaned all over the dumpster to grab the bag and then throw it in the trash, and then wanted to try to come freaking hug me, and then make it like as if I didn't have a right to refuse, like I had to let him hug me, you know. And then he tried to talk that lingo like a Christian and try to make like, oh, I don't know what you've been through in life, but and trying to make like he's harmless or whatever, you know. And then he kept wanting to hug all on me and stuff. And then, but he didn't touch me in a sexual way, but he kept wanting to hug all on me, And then every time opportunity he saw me, he wanted to constantly hug on me, and I felt just dirty. I'm like, I'm thinking in my head, you are fucked up for doing that, for doing this, So I mean, I wouldn't want to lean all over the garbage can or touch the garbage can. You never know. I mean, it's the garbage. I mean, the big dumpster. I don't know why I'm calling the garbage can, but the big dumpster. You never know what in this low class kind of hotel right here. You don't know what kind of drugs or needles people used, or if anybody has an STD and probably have their filth or whatever, just anything, So I just felt violated. I mean, a handshake wasn't good enough. He wanted to, because some men who do that, and then, that's when I'm gonna tell you something else. So then I ordered not actual pizza, but I ordered food from a pizza place. Like I ordered pasta, a sandwich, and salad to stretch me over the next 2 or 3 days. And when I went to go outside to try to check on my food, it's like he kind of barged in my hotel room wanting a hug, and I'm like, hold on, wait. He's like, oh, come on, don't do me. I'm like, no, no. I had already took a shower, and he had still on those same freaking clothes. And plus he had the same clothes on for days, like for a few days. So, like, making it like as if I don't have a right to refuse a hug, But, you know how these, I mean, well, it's like, and then he got, like, he got mad, and then when my food finally came and I went out the door and go outside to get my food, because that's the first of any regular food I had since Tuesday, since I got here, and I've been living off of canned and packaged food, and I'm just like tired of living off of canned and packaged food. It's like, and I didn't have to do that, but I ate that food, calling myself being prepared for if Hurricane Delta would have hit us, so I got tired of, I'll go back to eating the canned food, but I just want to, and canned and packaged food, but I know it's not good for you either, so so when I went outside, he got mad and slammed his door so hard. And he so happened to be in the same building from me. And the same building as me. And I went and got my food or whatever, and it's like I kind of figure with that, and I'm like, this is how I got raped. When guys treat you like you don't have a right to refuse a hug or a kiss or anything, and it's like, I don't even know you. You don't know me, and I don't know you, but then I'm the one who gets blamed and called the hoe or the dirty person. When the guy gets glorified as brilliant and having more sense than me, and I'm the stupid fool who, quote unquote, allowed it and wanted it, which is not true. But I felt bad last night, like as if I did something wrong for refusing to hug him. And one of the bus drivers, I don't want to reveal his. I mean, I should, but I can't even report it to the I can't even report it to the bus station, because they never properly handle my complaints, and plus they would reverse it on me and blame me. So that's why it's like, I'm not even I mean, they act like as if the whole entire, like, except a few bus drivers, almost all the bus drivers, almost all of them are abusive, mean gang stalkers. And Alex acts like as if he worships the bus drivers. Like he even tells the bus drivers what to do, and they're stupid enough that they fucking listen, and he doesn't even have authority over me or them. And just because the police are your friends does not mean you have the authority of police. So some people try to say that Alex is not my handler, but just a police informant, and other people say that he is my handler. But I hope he's not, because he doesn't deserve the right to be my handler. Nobody deserves the right to be my handler. If you're a Satan-loving gay person, yeah, you I mean, I hope you go fry in hell for eternity with your best friend Satan. So it's like Alex worships the buses and the fake crusty, bus drivers anyway. That the bus driver, it was twice he did this. I mean, well, this bus driver had been like extra abusive and perping me since last year. And so one day, after I filmed him speeding and then slamming on the brakes, I was trying to be discreet with it, but it's like as if he knew I was filming, and it was hard to catch him. That's how you knew he was a perp. And this is that bus driver that supposedly a delusional deacon in a church or whatever, or so badly wants to be a deacon in a church or whatever. So then he started to be like extra fake nice for many months, and calling me precious and everything. And he, would just want a hug every time he saw me. And then it wasn't until the day before our birthday. When I say I'm talking about me and my twin sister, but she's not here. On our birthday is August 25th, but then it was August 24th when the bus driver, the first time when he asked, I mean, it wasn't for the first time he asked me for a hug, but he had been wanting hugs, a lot of hugs. And then, it's like, I guess he wanted me to get comfortable, but it's like, I thought it was just like a Christian friendly hug or whatever. I thought but he never apologized for the abusive, mean way. He used to always yell at me and treat me mean and abusive and pick arguments with me for no reason and had me frightened of him. And one time he had me so frightened of him that I walked. That I went swimming for the first time at that UWF campus, and then I was so frightened of him. It wasn't the first time he was verbally abusive to me last year, but I was new here and didn't know. I thought the buses stopped running around 7:30. I didn't realize those were the downtown military buses that kept running, and they didn't even tell me that. They just didn't tell me. Oh, those are the military buses that run downtown at night. But they kept trying to lie and say, no, the buses don't run at night, but I didn't know. Yes, they do. Because I was new here. And so, when me and him got into an altercation, an argument, and and the argument started, and I was brand new here, and the argument started because I couldn't understand what he was saying, and he got an attitude, and then he got really vicious and nasty towards me, and he would get very abusive and rude. But then all those abuses, he was abusive and mean several times, like very cruel towards me. And then after that, he just started, after I caught him on camera filming him slamming on the brakes, and after that fake friend, that fake gang stalking fake retarded friend Sarah, who's no longer my friend and never was a real friend, when she said, well, how come he keep speeding and then slamming on the brakes? But she probably was in on it, and she was acting like a narcissistic control freak fake friend that acted super jealous of me, and she's like 12 years younger than me and treat me like I'm slow and with no sense, but she's the one walking around with a goofy retarded look that's genetic. She's the one who's deformed and retarded and treat me like I'm slow with no sense. But it was after she asked that question, but we were sitting in the back of the bus. I don't think he heard, but maybe through whatever remote neural monitoring or something, he must have heard. And then after that, he started to be friendly, and then he was friendly for months until the end of August, and that's when the first time, like, I thought it was subtle, and I felt gaslit because I wasn't sure if he meant to touch me on my ass. Like, it was kind of just barely, and I felt bothered by it, and I was like, I felt, scared to report him, and I hate getting the police involved and stuff like that. And this man is way too old for me. He looked like he's over 60 years old. I know he's over 60, might be over 65. And then it's like, I don't remember what the exact date was, but it was a couple of weeks ago. And he did it again. And I'm like, okay, I finally had my final confirmation that he was, because sometimes a person, might hug you and wrap their arms around you. And at first I thought that he didn't intend to touch me on my ass, but he did it a second time. And I figured it was deliberate, but he was trying to, like, I guess, gaslight me and be kind of subtle with it, because it's like kind of just barely, but, the second time I had my confirmation, yeah, you were trying to touch me on my ass, and that's what these guys do. I explained in another video a couple of days ago about that guy who, sexually assaulted me. And you remember I told y'all we went to court and I wasn't allowed to speak in court. This was 4 years ago, and I thought it was 5, but it was 4 years ago in Greenville, South Carolina. Well, it was 4.5 years ago, something like that. And that was, I was, every time I report I guess it's part of the gang stalking that if you're a targeted individual reporting any kind of rape or sexual assault, they treat you like the criminal. And then they get mad at you when you don't report stuff or when you're scared to report it. You know, so, I mean, I already described and explained the past sexual assault and rape experiences. And, you know, some people try to ignorantly laugh and be like, you're so ugly, nobody could possibly want you. So you're lying on these people saying that they sexually assaulted you and did that to you. You're crazy and you're ugly and nobody wants you, you know. But um I'm 37 years old. I thought I would have been too old to be groomed for prostitution. If I'm supposed to be so ugly, and if people try to call me ugly and retarded, you know, um, why the hell you want an ugly retarded person who you don't want me to get married and have my own kids, and you hate me so much you don't want me to reproduce kids unless it's from a traumatized unwanted rape, you know, by somebody whose health is ugly and have a burnt body and clearly not my type, you know, or somebody that's too old, fake crusty and old, you know. So the third time the bus driver asked me for a hug, he's like, oh, no hug can I have a hug? I said no. He said, no hug today. No, I'm tired, you know. And plus I was sleep deprived. And I'm like, no, I'm tired. So that was the last time I saw him, but I'm afraid that the abuse might ramp up even worse you know, but this guy right here, I'm afraid that he might become extra abusive or extra perpish if you know, if, like, I remember in 2007, one of the neighbors when I was living in Denton, Texas, tried to make sexual advances at me, and when I turned him down, he was way too old for me, and my twin sister tried to make like, oh, well, you bruised his ego, you know, by telling him he's too old, you know. And so the man, I told her on the phone, and you know, she said, oh, you bruised his ego or whatever. But the man became bullyish and extra abusive for years. And then, you know, he would tell me, your parents need to put a belt on your ass. And I was like at least 24 years old when he told me, your mom and daddy, your parents need to put a belt on your ass. And he became extra abusive, and he was extra abusive for years, and got in my face and started bullying, harassing, threatening me. And you know, the police have it out for me, so I'm not allowed to report any incidents. And people think I'm the problem if I keep reporting assaults and rape and bullying and beating from so many massive amount of people that it happened, and then nobody believed me, and I didn't know that this is all part of my targeting and gang stalking, you know. So it's like I damn sure don't want to have any sex with somebody who used to hurt and abuse me, and somebody that's old enough to almost, you know, shucks. Somebody that's old enough to be my parent. You know, this man is definitely over 20 years old, more than 20 years older than me. I promise you. I don't even know how old he is, but I promise you that he's more than 25 years older than me. You know, so I know that I'm talking about that bus driver. You know, so And then some people treat me like I'm slow with no sense, or that I'm the one who needs guidance and stuff. Or I need, if I tell somebody about a rape situation, like when I mentioned yesterday in the videos about, being raped, and then it seemed like the fake church acting like they wanted to take all my freedom and rights away and keep a close watch on me, and then falsely accuse me of being the prostitute. I never accepted any sex in exchange for money ever in my life. But that fake sick church pastor, the the fake sick church pastor, he has a sickness with being obsessed with prostitutes and pimps. And so even David Jane, told me that the pastor would lie to everybody and say I'm a prostitute. And then, when I got raped in 2012, twice in 2012, it's freaking Los Angeles, And so the second guy in Los Angeles after the Freemason, he kept stalking and stalking and stalking me until he succeeded at raping me, and then he left me alone and disappeared for a while. And after what I went through with the Freemason guy, I was too afraid to even report this guy. And so then they had an adult protective services counselor who came to my house. I mean, not counselor, I meant to say adult protective service worker who came to my house. And, that was the second rape that year, And then the second rape against my will. And then the lady, I mean, I don't go around making friends with people, making friends with men. I'm a loner and I stay to myself, But the fake bitch, her name was Kimberly, not Kimberly, but Kimberlie, Kimberly Oates, Oates was her name. And she just automatically assumed, oh yeah, you keep letting all these men in your house, And that's not even true. You keep letting all these men in your house, which is not true, So I usually don't let anybody in my house, and I was going to that fake Hell's Way church, and so, even none of the church members except David Jane, but David Jane, I knew David Jane and I thought he was a friend, but there was nothing ever sexual ever happened between me and David Jane, So me and David used to hang out quite a bit, but that was after the rapes had happened, And so, David, they call him slow and retarded too. And I try to be there for him and try to be a friend to him. But I noticed that going out in society, people actually love him more than they love me, and give me a certain kind of hatred, So it's like they treated him way better in front of my face, But David would be like, "Oh, Candy, you should have saw how those people were looking at you," or "Candy, these people they were laughing at you," So even other black people treated David Jane way better than me in front of my face, And so David was saying that the reason why we get raped and people treat us a certain way, because he said, well, they think that we're easy to be taken advantage of because they think we're really mentally slow, But that's what I thought, me being bullied by random people or treated a certain way in society because of the idea of me being seen by society as retarded. But I didn't realize, if I'm the only so-called retarded person with a college degree, or a so-called retarded targeted individual, while other targeted individuals are seen by society as mentally normal, and they didn't go through the foster care system like I did, and they weren't in a cult like I was. And some people, were born normal and live a normal life and didn't become targeted till like a year or two ago and just waking up, you know. But they have some people who claim that they've been targeted since birth. Um, and some of the ones who claim that they were targeted since birth, they try to act elitist and cult like and think they're special or better, you know. But I know it's been seeming like I've been rejected from this world and hated from as early as 3 years old, you know. So, I don't know if I was considered targeted since birth, but I don't know. But, um, that other video, I don't even know if I mean, the other video recording the smoke alarm, it took at least almost 40 minutes to upload a 2-minute video on their Wi-Fi, trying to save my data, you know. But on this on this computer, well, yesterday it was like it took an hour and a half to upload a video that was um took an hour and 15 minutes or so. But it was a little faster. It was a little faster than that. And when I was in the other rooms a few months ago here, you know. So it's like, I mean, and it's like some people were like, oh, and you don't like back in 2012, the second guy who raped me in 2012, that guy was the guy who kept stalking and stalking and stalking me. And I'm like, how does he randomly keep finding me everywhere? And he kept stalking me until he succeeded at raping me. And this guy, if you saw him, he looked too innocent to be a criminal. He just had a look like as if you thought, he looked too innocent to be a criminal. And then, when I saw him, when I tried to Google his name, it's like they praised and respected him so highly and so well at a car dealership. You know, when I first met him, he acted like as if he couldn't get a job nowhere. But then it's like it was exactly a month after the rape by the Freemason guy, and then this guy come and he this guy come and he saw me on first sight, and then he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna take you show you where you can go to get a job." And it's like, how did he's a complete stranger, like how do you even know I'm going job hunting or looking for a job, you know? And so then he took me by these he led me on a thing. He was gonna take me inside this building to go talk to somebody for a job. And then next he took me by the stairwell, and it was 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It wasn't even nighttime. So people try to talk about, oh, don't go all that night. Some of this crazy shit happened during the day. Even during the day, I've had illegal Mexicans like try to force grab me and try to drag me in their van for I guess it was for human trafficking. They try to like just take, a complete stranger, illegal Mexican, and it happened quite a few times, like 3 or 4 times or something, probably more than that. But they try to force grab me and try to drag me in their raggedy ass dirty van. You know, I'm glad I did. And I heard how the Mexican people in Los Angeles, the Mexican men they're like brutally abusive and murder black female prostitutes. And and it's like, they said that I lived in the hood, and I used to see prostitution like out in the open like it was nothing. But I promise you, I never once prostituted and never accepted like any offers for prostitution. I turned every single one of them down. You know, so I mean, even a light skinned, quote unquote, good looking man driving around a BMW try to approach me like a prostitute, and a brand new BMW. I'm like, no, you know. So it's like the Mexican men in Los Angeles stuck with their Mexican people when it comes to marriage relationships. But it seemed like the only time you saw a black female with a Mexican guy is if for prostitution purposes. And it's like, you know, I didn't want to degrade myself like that, you know. And it's like the same street that I lived on, like around the corner, like, the next building over, people would stand on the corner and prostitute. Me, I just go to the library or go to church or go to the food bank and then go straight home and do nothing else. And mostly stay home for a whole week and never leave the house. You know, I've had most of my time, or maybe go to the grocery store at the farmer's market or the beach or something. But I really didn't have any friends except maybe David Jane, you know, who wasn't a real friend. You know, so yeah, it was really wild in Los Angeles. That, but I've seen Mexican females, you know, with black men, and their half black children were the ones who they were brutalized and abused and physically abusing and beat on their half black kids really bad. But then, if they had fully Mexican kids, they would, you know, treat that child like royalty, you know. So it was strange, you know. So it's like, when one time it was in 2005 before Hurricane Katrina, and I was called myself being excited and told the foster mom that I'm going to go to California to try to go to take a test and participate in a workshop for Spanish translation. And the foster mom was like, "Oh, what, you gonna go up there to prostitute?" And I'm like, why the hell would she do that? You know, but then people are telling me I'm negative. I'm feeling negativity. But yeah, she said, "Oh, what, you gonna go up there and prostitute?" But she used to act like she was conditioning me, like, "You're gonna grow up to be a prostitute." And she would make her own smear campaign, even though the biological family was abusing and perping me. But she had beef with the biological mom and sisters. Like, she tried to make, like, as if the biological sisters, Belinda and Ramona, and the biological mom, Frances, were all prostitutes and on drugs. And that wasn't even true, even though I hate Ramona. But that wasn't even true, you know. Well, I mean, I heard that the biological mom, Frances, was on drugs from the biological family, but I never heard the biological family. I don't think the biological mom, Frances, was a prostitute. I don't know. But, you know, that's another reason how the biological family ignorantly laugh and say that, "Oh, Arthur's not your daddy because you're not light-skinned like him." It's like, I don't even know if they say the biological mom, Frances. I don't even know, because I don't know everything. And me only know what I've been told, you know. So, if Wyatt would ignorantly laugh and say, "Arthur found out that Frances, all those kids didn't belong to Frances, and he knocked all her teeth off." You know, ignorantly laugh, you know. But they think that because Arthur was light skinned with straight hair and not even really black, that it's a badge of honor to be Arthur's child if you're light skinned like him. And so they would make rumors like the foster mom would make like she would tell me that you're gonna grow up to be a prostitute just like your mom, and you're gonna grow up to be homeless and you're crazy. And then she would drive around, and I think I talked about this before, that she would drive around and show me which homeless person or which drug addict in a neighborhood. That foster mom would take me around just to drive around the neighborhood and point out, oh, you're gonna grow up to be just like this person, or you're gonna grow up to be just like that strung out drug addicted prostitute that's schizophrenic and crazy and homeless. I'm like, why the fuck would you wish this on a foster child? And then I turned out to be anything but that, except the forced homelessness that comes with our targeting. But I was never on drugs and never prostituted, and I have the false label of being crazy. But I'm glad to know for sure that I'm not considered crazy, and that I'm not alone in dealing with this. Who the fuck are you to think you have the authority to the foster mom was expecting me to grow up to be like, you didn't do that to your own biological kids, and then you scratch your head and wonder, well, how come she was like, my own kids don't even cuss at me, and my own kids don't even disrespect me the way you do. And she's like, I got grown when I was still a child, but she said I got grown kids who never raised their voice at me or disrespected me the way you do. I'm like, well, she never told them the stuff, the kind of harsh stuff that she told me. I mean, if you tell me I'm for no reason at all, just come on, Candy, let's, and then you go take me in a car and then drive around and say, you're going to grow up to look like this, you're crazy and you look like a homeless person. I was still in foster care, and she would keep me in the same clothes from when we were 8 years old, and I was 17, still wearing those same clothes. And then she would tell me, oh, you look like a homeless person. So if you tell me stuff like that, bitch, expect to get cursed out. Expect to be disrespected. But you don't treat your own biological kids like that. I mean, because of the way, even her own biological kids, the way they treat us, if she would have treated them like that, they would have had her murdered. That's how crazy they can get. But they glorified as having sense and being normal because they come out her coochie, out of her womb or whatever. So that's how she can praise them and put them on a pedestal, because they come from her biologically and genetically. We didn't ask to be put in her care. So, yeah, I mean, that man tried to barge in my room last night for a hug. I didn't invite him. I didn't say, hey, you can come in my room. It's like he went and he at least passed the door and tried to come in and get a hug from me. Like, no, like, but I'm glad he backed off. But as I said, I'm afraid that he might do like the other that bus driver or whatever. You're like, if you don't give them, or that neighbor from Denton, Texas in 2007, all the way until I left, become extra abusive because I turned down your sexual advances. I mean, well, if you try to talk like a Christian and make like you don't mean any harm, and then next thing you know, you sidetrack me and then do something sexual, I've had people do that too. But I'm made to feel guilty or ashamed for respecting myself and keeping my guard up. And I hate when you be a victim of rape and you end up being asked by the bully fag cops. The first thing they puff themselves up about the first thing and be like, well, what were you wearing? I don't even dress like a slut or anything. And it doesn't even matter, because I've seen prostitutes in Los Angeles wearing a hoodie and jeans, and they know you're a prostitute when you're standing on the corner. And so, you know, I was 11 years old at the bus stop, 11 years old, and Stank John from the Stanky Crab family across the street, you know, he falsely accused me of standing on a corner like a prostitute, and I was 11 years old. And the foster mom would come and condemn me and get mad at me and say that John has a right to whip my ass or whatever. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I mean, that's the bus stop, and I'm minding my business, waiting for the freaking bus. And then, but it seemed like his own nieces, who are actual prostitutes, like, you know, and the foster mom, when we were in 8th grade, she got outraged and was saying that John's sister, Miss Cheryl Kraft, that she was prostituting her daughters, including Stank Horlanika, that she was prostituting her daughters to grown men. And the foster mom was outraged about that, but she didn't dare report them. And because the foster mom is protected by the state and protected by the law, and so is the Kraft family, protected by the law, and they work for the city. Excuse me. And they're friends with everybody, and they claim to be related to everybody except me. And you know, they're protected by the law. But check the real prostitutes. You're projecting the prostitution of your own nieces. You project them onto a foster child you don't like. You know. And I mean, John even called his own sister Cheryl a hoe, and tried to say that she ain't nothing but a leftover and a hoe or whatever. And then and then Michelle got her feelings hurt and then cried. And then the dad, Stank Freddy, we were still teenagers. And he's like, and I was over there, I think it was Michelle's birthday or whatever. Because I remember a pretty green and yellow, big ass, pretty green and yellow cake sitting on a bed in John's bed, on John's bed in that bunk bed at Miss Ollie's house. Y'all want to know something? I think Miss Ollie was in my doggone dream last night. You know, there's a gang stalker passing right by my window, by my door outside. And so, nobody passes by my door or my window while when I'm not filming. It's only when I'm filming, like they want to eavesdrop or something. Yeah, those people must be demonically influenced to do that. So, you know, all your little, the prostitution that, 13-year-old dating and having sex with a 19-year-old, and then you put that blame onto me, Lions, and the innocent person who's kept in the dark. And I'm 37 years old and still don't even know all that much how prostitution works, how drugs work, what a lot of drugs look like. I don't even know really what crack looks like. I mean, I think I saw crack before, but I don't know what crystal meth looks like. I don't know what dope looks like. I don't really know what the substance heroin looks like. I just know heroin goes through a needle. But I don't know much about drugs and stuff like that. And so, I mean, I don't know. Like, and it's like Miss Cheryl's kids wasn't going to get taken away and taken away from her because she's protected by the law and above the law because they're Masonic. They're Masonic. And so, the foster mom would say that the foster mom would say that Miss Cheryl was prostituting her daughters to grown men, and that they would or sometimes they would be, the girls would wait till Miss Cheryl was gone and then sneak grown men in the house and have sex with them in the in that back house or whatever. And then that's all projected onto me. I don't know why they felt the need to do that, And then it's like, even, Miss Lillian's, her youngest daughter, well, Danielle had passed away, but, Danielle been popping out babies since like 12 or 13 years old, and with 19-year-old boyfriends. And Lanika sitting at 12, 13 years old with 19, 20-year-old boyfriends and stuff like that. And then, they scapegoat and lie and say it's me prostituting and flirting with every man, which I don't do stuff like that, So I just mind my own doggone business and stay to myself. And, whatever, I don't, I still trying to figure out was, and I don't want anybody to try to tell me stop trying to figure stuff out, because I have a right to figure out what's going on with me. Just like when the foster mom's cousin had his two sons to molest my twin sister, and then they scapegoated and blamed the biological brother Wyatt, to protect her cousin's kids, and that was some cold, dirty shit in foster care. And I have a right to get my damn story out, and y'all don't have a right to freaking sue me for trying to speak the truth, or trying to do me whatever retaliation or harm for speaking saying was true. We were too young to have any freaking evidence at 13 years old. As I said, if we were in the foster mom's care today, to further her control and abuse, we wouldn't be allowed to have cell phones, and wonder why, even it was back then, why other kids our age got to have cell phones, and they got to go to the mall independently, driving as kids, and being, and then the foster mom would condemn us for not being normal and tell me I had to conform to the norms of society, while she's sitting there blocking me from being any kind of normal. Any normal 17, 18, 19-year-old will want a job and want to work. She blocked me from that and was taking my money. You forced me to live an abnormal life and then tell me I have to learn how to conform to the norms of society. But everything you say is opposite of what you preach. And then we were 9 years old. No, we were 9, 10, 11 years old. And I would say she was criminally, illegally, and undeservingly driving around in that BMW and playing on repeat Barry White's song, Practice What You Preach. But she never did. So, I'm gonna go now. And I don't care if y'all freaking get mad at me, because y'all all call me crazy. So, if y'all get mad and outraged because y'all know I'm speaking the truth. But even if I'm speaking the truth, y'all dismiss me. Oh, ha, ha, ha. Oh, don't pay her no mind. She's crazy and need her medication. Or they just keep walking back and forth, back and forth. And I can tell through the shadow, they look like crackheads or druggies walking by. So, having bad encounters with people is one of the reasons why I shelter myself and I'd be afraid to leave the house or the hotel or the apartment or wherever place I'm living at, Can't even step out the front door, Can't even go get no fresh air, like I'm supposed to imprison myself inside all day, every day, because society hate me and don't want me to be seen. But I forgot. When Stank John from the Stankin' Crab family said about Stank Cheryl, oh, she ain't nothing but a leftover anyway. And then Stank Cheryl bust out crying, and then Stank Freddy, the dad, was like, well, he's the grandpa, but he's their dad. And he said, Stop acting all sensitive shit. Like he had no teeth and say, oh, stop acting sensitive. Um, so a good father would have been like, hey, don't talk to your sister like that. You ought to know better than to talk to disrespect your own sister like that, you know. But now it's like he's like, oh, stop being all sensitive shit, rather than being supportive of somebody that's got hurt feelings or whatever, you know. So I probably said too much or talked too much, you know. So I'm mainly talking about overall my life experience with the false accusation of being called a prostitute, because that's one of the rumors about me and a lot of other female targeted individuals, because I heard that you're not a real prostitute, but they're trying to groom you for prostitution. And I want no part in prostitution at all, because I had plenty of opportunities and just chose not to. And I don't feel comfortable with having penises rammed and shoved in my coochie. It's not comfortable at all. And don't think, oh, what are you gay? No, I'm heterosexual. I would just rather have a husband who loves me, a Christian husband who loves me and will do it the right way, in a loving way. And I don't want any just random guys, you know, who don't care about me to, you know, shove themselves inside of me against my will and then run off and then cut off all contact with me and then acting like as if they never did like me after they push me and trying to pressure me and then just take sex from me, like rape me against my will without me having the right to say no, that they force and shove themselves on me and then avoid contact with me and then treat me like as if they never did like me or like they don't know who I am. And treat me like a stranger and give me the silent treatment after they succeeded at raping me and I'm all traumatized and stuff after I resisted and fought and said no and did whatever I can to battle against it when they succeed at pinning me down against my will, you know. And so, I'm, you know, how come I was made to feel like guilty, like I did something wrong by refusing this hug, or this guy kept wanting to hug on me, and he might have been taking slow steps to, like I described with a few other people in this video. So I'm going to go now. And if you believe my situation, then thanks for listening and thanks for believing me, because it means a whole lot for even one person to believe I'm telling the truth. So thanks for listening and bye.